Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners coming at you with John 11. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Long time no see, Kyle. You look good. You've been working out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if this will be a week later or something, probably, right? Like, these aren't coming out in the same week.
Yeah, they'll come out a week apart. Yeah, Jeff's going on vacation, so we needed one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can do it again if we got time. Again, we'll see.
That's not that long.
Yeah, if the chapters are short. How did you like it? So, again, we'll bring it up again.
It was a pretty good chapter, I think. I like this one.
Pretty good chapter? I'm saying, how did you like the process of doing Sam, going and quick reading, and now you're coming back in to do another one?
I don't know that I would enjoy it if this was like an hour and a half later and it took me a while to read, it was a long, beefy, content-filled chapter. It was kind of fun because it worked so fast together.
I think Jeff likes it because I think part of the reason we were so fast is because we were focused last chapter knowing that we didn't want to be
we were
here
going
all
into
night
another
long.
one.
Exactly.
I would say that my fear of spoilers in this John one, there isn't really any. He does something completely different. We get a little bit of kind of insight in Stannis, but I mean,
were you ready to pop in right into another vote from John's point of view, or?
Yeah, I didn't know if he was coming back. I thought it would be day 11 or whatever, right? And he would be present. I thought as where it was coming. I didn't think to put together. It was John went to duel with Satin, I guess, and then this is where he was during that vote. It sounds like, or kind of,
or at least right before it. Yeah.
So why he didn't show up at that other vote at the very least?
I don't know if you said it, but the synopsis is it's pretty much one long conversation with Stannis at the top of the wall. First time John and Stannis seem to be meeting each other. And Stannis,
let me just say,
go ahead.
I don't. These Stannis Melisandre chapters are fucking weird, man. I don't know. They get going on some weird shit, and I'm like, all right, you two need to shut up.
So what's the big thing in the chapter? What's the big moment, right?
Well, you go ahead. You finish your synopsis, but I just had to get that out there.
Stannis offers basically to give John, absolve him of bastardy, get him out of the Night's Watch, and give him
Winterfell.
Yep.
John Stark. That's what he's
much,
giving him. He's giving him a name.
He promises to fulfill John's dream
exactly,
since he's been a child, right? That would be
the dream he hasn't been allowed to even have because it's kind of guilty to even have this dream.
Yeah, well, it means everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
The only way for any of this to have come true is for everybody to be dead, which pretty much everybody. I mean, I guess that's not even true.
I mean, no, because they would still probably go to would it just go to a bastard child after that, or would they find the next North family to take it over?
I mean, I think technically you would go to Ned's dad. Did he have any other, do we have any cousins?
Yeah.
Is where it would go.
You go back far enough, you're ending up to the Karstarks, the Starks of Carhold.
I think Kat played this out when Rob was making his will, and he was like, hey, Kat, it's gotta be, who are we gonna put in the will now that Sansa's married? It was when Sansa married Tyrion. I think Kat and Rob heard about it. They're like, we can't, if something happens to Rob, we can't let it pass to Sansa now because that's what would happen. So we have to name a new heir. Rob seems to be leaning towards John. Kat, I think, ends up with some dude from the Vale. From, again, some cadet branch of, a cousin
you,
and
Kat.
something. He ends up with some dude.
Retweet.
Rob's like, some dude who's never even seen Winterfell is going to be better than John. No, it's kind of what Rob says. Again, I don't think it's ever completely confirmed what's in Rob's will, but it's interesting because technically Rob's will is a better offer than Stannis' offer. And I'm kind of jumping all over the place before we even get into it, but Rob's will would make John king in the North, right? This is making him Lord of Winterfell. That would make him king in the North, and that's theoretically still out there somewhere, right? He sent that off with somebody, and they're in I think they were supposed
with
to
the
go
bones?
up with the bones. Ned's bones.
They had Ned's bones, right?
They might have also had Ned's bones, yeah. I think it was the Mormont mom, Mage Mormont, and maybe somebody else, and they were supposed to go see Jojen Reed's dad.
Right.
Is where they were supposed to go boat and go meet up with him and then spread words to get Rob's plan, which I don't remember because Rob died a chapter later, so I was like, I didn't even remember it. Let's jump in.
Let's jump in. John and Satin training on the yard. Satin stinks. We're talking basic fighting.
Satin is the dude, he was the whore.
Yeah, the boy whore.
Right? Yeah.
They call him Satin because he's soft. Also, real quick before we get into it, Jeff, what do you think of this chapter?
Yeah, we never asked Jeff.
What does it matter? What I think.
I wonder. I'm just wondering.
You're the talent.
I'm always for a quick read. So quick one, great. I like the interaction between Stannis and John just because it's it's kind of old families. Like Stannis has history with Ned, which he brings up a couple times, and now like he's seeing Ned and Jon. I think that's kind of cool. It's the confliction of Jon to like, are you gonna break your oaths again, or are you going to take this like dream life that you always wanted?
Yeah.
So I think all that's really cool. So.
Yeah, I like this chapter because there's like a lot of quotes that again kind of give me like the Dunk vibe, like the good. We're finally doing like what's right. You know what I mean? We're kind of like saying it out loud.
I love that Dunk is just your standard of
the good guy. The good
everything comes back to Dunk.
Yeah, I mean, the Dunk stories are the stories that Sansa would like to read.
Dunk stories are what you like to read. So
exactly, because I'm kind of like Sansa.
It's Dunk on Nelson.
I mean, clearly I like the Game of Thrones stories too, where the heroes die. Right? Clearly I like that too. We're doing the podcast on it, but
that's
It gives you the warm fuzzies, like yes, we're doing the right thing. Everyone knows what that.
You're so excited to get done this book so that we can read the second novella.
That is true. Storm's the Sworn Sword is up in between this and Feast, next Dunk and Egg book.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm excited about that one. Yeah, so let's get into it. Sorry, we're fighting Satin.
Right. Jon Satin stinks. They're.
I don't know. He's
He stinks.
John's encouraging him at least.
Well, yeah, he's a good coach, but you can when he goes back to the office, he's like, man, Satin's got a long way to go.
A lot of room for improvement.
Why'd we recruit this one?
That's what coach one time for javelin. He was like, I finally started figuring it out. He's like, you're 1,000 times better. You're 1,000 times better. And some other guy was like, he still sucks. He's like, well, you got to remember you were started. You were beyond terrible. A lot of room for growth.
Yep. And then Melisandre comes up behind him, Satin sees him. And she's like, "Yep, Stannis wants to see you."
Little show quote in there, Jeff. Quote they kind of took out of this chapter and used a few times, I think, in the show. He says, "Keep your shield up, or I'll ring your head like a bell."
Okay,
that's like a thing that I think like in the show, both Rob and Jon at different times say like, "Oh, Ned used to say this to me." Like they're like training with somebody and they say that. So
yeah, I gotcha. It didn't ring a bell for me, so
I think there actually is in the books a reuse quote here where they say "keep your head up," and he's like, "It's too heavy," and he's like, "It's as heavy as it needs to be."
That's an Arya deal because I think it might be a show thing because the sword was too heavy.
That's definitely a book thing too. Syrio tells it to her.
It's as heavy as it needs to be
to make you strong. Yeah. So, yep, some callbacks. That one
did ring a bell.
Cool. Nice. That's because you're more of a book person than a show person now. When was the last time you watched Game of Thrones full time through? Like 1 to at least 5.
2019.
Before the season 8?
I don't think I've rewatched it since season 8's come out.
Damn. Okay. So this is all definitely fresher. Nelson? I've definitely rewatched it.
I might be lying. I might have done it because sometimes like I'll just put some stuff.
At least
on.
the beginning seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched season 1 probably. Well, I watched it recently. So did you guys watch that with me?
No.
When you watched it recently?
Yeah.
That was when we finished the first book. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, though. Well, I guess maybe that was 2019. I don't know when it was.
Yeah, I'm due for a rewatch. I'll throw it on. I kind of want to rewatch season 1 of House of Dragon but
it kind of pisses me off because I'm off topic, but I see a lot of people saying like House of Dragon is so much better than Game of Thrones, and I really like House of Dragon.
It's not true yet,
but like you rewatch Game of Thrones season 1, and holy shit, it is so good. I mean, it's just it's the first book. It's like so accurate. Like the adaptation is so good.
Like I said, it has the potential, but it's not there yet. But back into it. So Melisandre is gonna meet them. Meet me and Stannis up on the wall. Jon has this thought that wow, she really is the real queen.
Yeah, she's running the show because she's like, we will talk to you up there. Like, it's not just Stannis.
Jon's like, Stannis, you got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah.
Yep. So he gets changed. He wasn't in a state to meet a king, and he gets out of his sweaty clothes, and they meet on the winch to go up together.
Yep. Him and Melisandre. Yep. And he's like, what does he want from me? And she's like, all you have to give your kid, he's your king.
She's cryptic as fuck, man. Fuck this lady. Yeah. They're creepy. I hate them both. They're hard to be around.
Yeah.
Melisandre's just like, she's just weird because like,
well, they're like the weird cult that shows up at your door and like talks to you in this like weird glowing manner.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what you're trying to say. Just say what you're trying to say. Like, there's gonna be no confusion then.
Yeah, they're fucking weirdos. I it's hard, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. But the one thing that I think shows some credence to her is like what happens next. Like she's riding up there cold as shit. Like Jon's got extra furs on. Yeah. She's just in her normal dress. It's like, yo, aren't you cold? And she's like, nope. R'hllor, the Fire Lord, keeps me warm. Here, touches
him.
Feel that.
This is how life should feel. Only death is cold.
John doesn't even fucking care.
Yeah, this is crazy. And he's like, huh, weird.
That was a weird thing. Yeah.
They found Stannis standing alone. That's immediate next line.
The other thing is she even smells red. The scent reminded him of Micken's forge, of the way iron smelled when red hot, the scent that's smoke and blood. Kissed by fire, he thought, remembering Egret. Before I read this line, when he's like, she smells red, I thought he was going to say she smells like cinnamon. Because that's what everything red smells like nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, you eat a red candy and it's like Fireball.
Not cherry or fruit punch.
I don't know. Melisandre gives me more of a cinnamon vibe. She's like kind of spicy red. Not
Spicy.
sweet red.
Jalapeno.
But like this is a whole different thing. Blood and fire, not cinnamon.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So
Forge.
Also Micken's forge, I haven't heard of him in a while. He's back from Winterfell. I didn't even realize that.
So we meet Stannis. The first note I have is kind of what John thinking back on how Don Alnoy described Stannis versus Robb.
Yeah, Robb was true steel and Stannis is pure iron, black and hard and strong, but brittle, the way iron gets. He'll break before he bends.
Renly was copper, but everybody forgets Renly. Fuck Renly, I guess.
What was the description of copper like?
He flashes shiny and looks good in the sun, but he's not good at really useful.
Yeah, he's pretty useless.
Nothing more than a copper spoon.
Pipe. He's mispiping.
All right. Yep. So Stannis is like, yo, John, like, tell me about all these. I've heard a lot about you.
Lord Snow.
Yeah. What have you heard? Turncloak Craven slew my brother. Mance took a wildling
He calls
wife.
him Lord Snow the whole time, which kind of feels like, I guess, right? He's trying to get him in.
Yeah, definitely a little foreshadowing, right? For what's coming.
And it's also funny because John thinks about how that was like not a term of endearment for him. Like it was more of a joke. Some guys actually took it and were like, all right, you're actually like a highborn kind of guy. But, half of them are like, you're a bastard.
Which I think, again, it's kind of like a thing that they kind of like mention a few times, which rings true to me because Nelson isn't my real name. It's a name that was given to me as like a make fun of him because he's like Nelson from The Simpsons. He's like kind of has a high voice when I was too old to have a voice as high as I should. And there's a few times where Gren, like Sam doesn't like Sam the Slayer, and Gren says to him, I used to not like Aurochs because it used to mean I was big and dumb, but then all my friends started calling it, so it was like, whatever. Like they don't mean it in like a I hate you way.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
liked
like,
it.
just make it like kind of own it. And Tyrion kind of told Jon this about being a bastard. He's like, hey, wear it like armor and it can never be used against you. It's like kind of what I do with being an imp, even though he doesn't really. He always gets butthurt when people make fun of him. But yeah, I think it kind of goes to like the name level too. Not that it really matters, but
yeah. All right.
It's also funny. He makes Stannis smile a few times here, which does not happen often, right? But
yeah, we haven't seen those teeth often.
Yeah.
Go through the list of the rumors again about Jon.
Yeah, so he's a turncloak, he's a craven, he slew his brother, Corn Halfhand, he rode with Mance, and he took a wildling wife. Jon says all those things. He's like, and Stannis like, I also heard you're a warg. And he smiles, and Stannis has a hard smile, is what Jon says. And he's like, how much of it's true? And Jon kind of gives all his retorts on him.
Well, he says I had a dire wolf, but I had to leave him a while back, and I still haven't seen him. Corrin commanded me to do that. Like that was like he knew they would make me kill him to prove myself to be one of them. So like I had to do what had to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, Ygritte broke my vows with her, but like I didn't do it to further their good. It was to further the Night's Watch good. Which is what I said last episode, right?
Yeah, the big one is I swear on my father I'm no turncloak. Like that part's true, but I swear on my father at the end of the day I'm loyal.
But I think I went through those, like all that stuff pretty much. That's what I'm saying. I think I called it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the last thing he says. That's his last point.
And then it moves into, well, Jon, I heard of the good shit that you've been doing around here.
Hell yeah. Well, no, before that he says, I know Janos, right? Like,
oh, sure.
He's like, I believe you.
I do believe you because Janos sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Your Ned sucks.
But I knew Ned too. Yeah.
And you look like him. So I'm guessing you are like him.
Got a little Ned to him.
Yeah, he makes sure to remind him. He's like, he was no friend of mine. Like, I didn't like
Says
your
it like
dad.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't like your dad, but I
didn't like your dad, but I knew he had some honesty about him, right? Like,
which, like, without getting too off track, like in book 1, Ned, when he learned the truth, he did try to send word to Stannis.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you're up next. Did that ever get there, though? I don't think so. I think he sent that with Fat Tom, and I think Fat Tom got killed before he left King's Landing.
yeah.
So maybe Stannis would have liked Ned better if Ned would have been,
if he
Team
knew
Stannis
Ned was supporting it. But
Exactly.
it got out to the public that Ned was a traitor because he was supporting Stannis. So he was beheaded for for denouncing Joffrey and supporting Stannis to be.
Oh, maybe.
So that would have got. I would assume that got to
Got
Stannis.
to Stannis. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So then it's like, well, you did find that dragon glass dagger at the Fist of the First Men. That was pretty cool. And then you protected the wall.
Well, but both times he says somebody else did it, right?
Yep. Yeah. He humbly gives credit to Ghost and Noi.
This was giving me Jamie vibes, like in that chapter with Brienne just a few ago, where he wasn't.
It did. Yeah, I was
credit for
thinking that.
anything.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it until I was doing the notes, and I was like, why does he keep not accepting this? And then, especially when you said it just like there, right? So.
Yeah. It's cool that Noi had a little history with Stannis. I didn't know this.
Made his first sword in Robert's hammer. Yeah, I know. Me too.
Did we know that he was a Storm's End guy?
Yep. He was I think he joined the Watch because he lost his arm maybe in Robert's Rebellion, fighting in Robert's Rebellion. He's like, okay.
I'm out to pasture now. Let me go to the wall.
I think so. It's kind of how that went. Yeah.
Okay. And then he gives him credit for capturing the wildling princess and the son.
Yep.
He's like, I didn't have to do anything.
This is where we learned that Dalla died, Kyle. So sorry we did spoil you on one thing.
I love it. I love how earlier this was the one warning they were like giving each other before we tried this tonight.
I'm sure it was in the last chapter somewhere.
I don't think
it might have been.
I don't think it was.
But I don't think it was either.
Maybe not, but it's implied. Now we know for sure.
Now we know. So she died, and then Stannis was like, well, like, how did you protect them? He was like, well, I didn't have to do too much because the guard that was guarding me started freaking out when the eagle was burning.
Yeah. He's like, was that you? And he looks at Mel. And she
kind of like takes credit for it. What do you think, Kyle?
I mean, he's like, was that you, lady? That's all about fire.
Fire Lord gives me powers.
Like, did that eagle that caught on fire randomly?
I'll say this is something that people debate in the fandom. I don't know if there's any evidence that we haven't seen yet. Was it her? So, the other two things that people think is that the wall is like you can't cross the wall with warg powers, which is kind of like why Jon can't dream into Ghost in the last chapter.
That eagle's been flying the wall the whole.
I feel like the eagle's been all over the place. Yeah,
I agree. Mance literally says like we know that your stairs burned.
Yeah,
which to means you got to be on the other side, right? The stairs like hugging the wall.
He got shot with a fire arrow.
No way it got hit with a fire arrow.
Or fire arrow is the third option. So fire arrow, the wall, or Melisandre are the three things.
The thing was too high.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Shot from the wall.
Melisandre did it.
She just threw a spell up there.
Fire.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. And then we talking. So this is where Jon thinks it's smart to bring up that Val wants to take the baby to Mance and talk to him a little bit. And he's like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, this guy's a deserter of your people.
Yeah, not only did he desert, he deserted, which was already death. Then he gathered a whole army and brought back to attack the wall.
Came back to attack you.
Yeah.
Now we're going to show him a kindness? Why would I do that?
And he has no excuse, yeah.
But it's for Val, is what Jon says, right? He's like...
Yeah, and she's too pretty.
Yeah, pretty much. And the child's mom. Well, that is what Stannis definitely says. He's like, they tell me she's pretty, right? And he's like, yeah. Very.
Yeah. He can't even lie about that. But yeah, she's a good looking gal.
And he even says Mel's beautiful. He's like, damn, I've never seen this kill. She's beautiful. She smells red.
Smells like cinnamon.
Again, Jon's been on the wall. He hasn't seen a girl in how long? Like, I mean, he had Eager, but
camp eye. He got camp eyes.
He's got wall goggles.
Wall goggles. I'm sure wall goggles is a real thing.
For sure, yes.
I mean, they've been going to Molestown, right? Like, yeah, that has to be wall goggles.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure the ladies of the night at Molestown aren't the greatest looking.
They live underground.
You don't gotta be.
Oh gosh,
you got customers no matter what.
All right, so now Stannis wants to know about these wildlings and if they have any honor, and we kind of get Jon's. He asks about Mance, the one they call Rattleshirt, and then this Tormund, and Jon kind of gives his answer on those three.
Yep, basically Mance, yes. Rattleshirt, if he does, it's under everything. Tormund, he makes a good friend, bad enemy.
Yep.
The one thing, Robert, when he's talking about how good looking Val is, Stannis does say beauty can be treacherous. Robert learned that from Cersei, and he's like, Cersei killed him and your dad and Jon Arryn, don't doubt it. So good call by him. Like, I mean, he should know it was a boar. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
It's kind of hard to play Cersei as like the actual root cause behind a boar killing, even though that might actually be kind of likely. Still kind of hard for Stannis, who's been on a rock how far along. He just like hates Cersei so much. He's like, yeah, it was probably her. She probably somehow did it.
He knew. Yeah.
I mean, he was already on it with Jon. Like, he knows Jon, right? Jon was poisoned type of thing, or like
Yeah, he was around for that. He was buddy with Jon. Yeah,
buddy with Jon. So he's like, suspicions are up. Oh, then Robb dies on
Yep.
the thing he loves doing the most, and then Ned gets traitorily killed.
she actually wasn't behind that one though. But yeah, same. I understand. I understand why Stannis would say this.
All right, so then it's like, Jon, what about you? I respect your dad. I don't like him. He's no friend of mine, but I respect him. And even though your brother was a usurper of my crown and could have just been chilling, he, I'll give him. He had some kahunas. I respect him for that. Should I respect you?
What's up with you? What are you?
I'm a man of the Night's Watch.
Yep. Love the answer. Yeah, it's one of those like Jon just doing the right thing. Stannis like that's just Stannis like, what does that mean? It's just words.
Yeah.
Words are wind. He's like, why do you think I came here, Lord Snow?
Well, that's kind of like, it always goes back to your kind of like Knight's Oath parallel, right? Like you say them. What do they mean? Like your actions kind of mean more type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Is that a Batman quote too? Come on.
It's not who I am underneath. It's what I do that defines me.
Exactly. He's like, Jon, why do you think I came here? And Jon's like, well, probably because we wrote to everyone.
We needed help.
We literally wrote to every single person asking for help. I don't know why it took you so long, but at least you can.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Yeah.
He like roast him, made him laugh again.
Bold.
Yeah, and I think this is another like little foreshadow. I think he tells Jon that he's bold enough to be a Stark.
Yeah, definitely said that.
Right, which is like, okay, I'm gonna make you a Stark at the end
Yep.
of this. Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's you're qualified. Like he was waiting for Jon to say some smart ass shit.
There it was. Yep. All right. So,
This is one of my favorite quotes in the whole book series here.
why did you come north? And Stannis' answer.
Yep. Yes, I should have come sooner. If not for my hand, I might not have come at all. Lord Seaworth is a man of humble birth, but he reminded me of my duty when all I could think of was my rights. I had the cart before the horse, Davos said. I was trying to win the throne to save the kingdom when I should have been trying to save the kingdom to win the throne. Stannis pointed north. There is where I'll find the foe that I was born to fight. So I just like the fact, the line there that I really like is I was trying to win the throne to save the kingdom when I should have been trying to save the kingdom to win the throne.
Has that been said before already, though?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I thought maybe Davos said that to him.
When we were reading the last Davos chapter, I thought that might be, because I remember this quote. I thought that's when we were going to see
Maybe
it.
you just told it to me in the spoiler section then, because it was on
Probably.
the front of my brain when he said it. It wasn't like it was
Yeah.
a long time since I read it.
I've definitely said this a few times too in spoiler sections recently in Davos chapters. Yeah.
The real fight is north of the wall.
Yeah.
I want you to fight with me, Jon.
And then with some of the things he says in the rest of the chapter, it seems like he believes this. Stannis is like, we're like, what's north is a problem, right? Like this is our number one job
sure.
now. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of always been Melisandre's mission kind of too, right?
Not really, and that's what's weird, right? Like she was like all for let's get you on the throne until Davos produced this letter.
Well,
It seems like again
but
we haven't seen too
I
No,
much.
feel
she
like
always
their
wanted to
side.
fight this enemy, though. For sure.
Well, yeah, the other god.
Yeah.
She's always said that, like, you are the prince that is promised, right? To fight against, so I think maybe she was just set in on her order. She was like, we need to make you king so that you have the army that now you can fight this great other, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
So now they're like, all right, that's just not working. Let's try the other plan. Let's try the opposite order.
And again, I kind of like it because it's like do what a king should do, right? I think Dany says a line somewhere where she's like, the kings and queens are meant to help the small folk, right? To,
Well, yeah,
like,
that's
serve
even
the
what Sam
people.
said last chapter. Like he's like, why would you serve a king that didn't care about you?
The king that cared. Yeah, exactly. So again, Stannis isn't the warmest, but he is the one that showed up.
Yep.
So
All right, so Jon, like, I want you to fight for me, and let's just talk kind of about what's going on in the north. Like, Robb should have stayed home, been my warden in the north. Everything would have been cool. Probably still be alive.
I mean, when he left, it wasn't really his fault, I don't think, right? Like, I don't think they left with the intentions of him being king, and
correct.
Yep. They went to go get Ned out of jail. Like, he was still even kicking.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he died while they were like in the middle of their shit, and they kind of were in this like well, what are we doing now? Like, what are we here for? So I feel like that's kind of they almost made Rob King out of necessity. It's like, if not,
Yeah.
And the other option, right, is back Stannis, which I understand why Stannis is pissed. Is like, yeah, when Ned died, that's what you guys do now is you fight for the rightful heir. If you believe Joffrey's not it, it's me. You know what I mean? Like I can see why Stannis is not happy with Rob because Rob, again, kind of just does it on a whim. So
I guess, yeah. But yeah, he didn't do it either, though, right? Like, wasn't it one of the
everyone
guys?
else? Yeah, it was all his all his lords, all the river lords, and like probably the guy whose fingers got bit off by Great John.
Umber
Not Great John didn't bite anyways. Great John's fingers got bit off by Grey Wind.
Yeah.
I think it was Great John.
All right.
Yep.
So what's going on in the north? Roose was named Warden of the North from Tywin. Ironborn are fighting each other now, all kind of like with the west side of the north. And I need someone loyal in Winterfell.
Yeah. John gets a little pissed because Stannis is talking shit on Rob.
Yeah, it's his brother.
And he's like, I love my brother. Stannis is like, I love my brother too, but they were who they were and we are who we are.
Yeah, you don't have to be like him. Like, that's fine. You can love him, but you can be better than him.
Yeah, he's like, and so here's the situation. And like what Jeff just said. Did you say where the Iron Men are? Did you go through all the castles?
I didn't go through them, but you can.
Moat Cailin, Deepwood Moat, Torrhen Square, and most of the Stony Shore.
Deepwood Mott.
I never know how to say that. Motte. Come on. Is that ever? It's a Game of Thrones word for sure.
Yeah, I mean, moat could make sense too. I don't know.
Well, there's Moat Cailin.
Moat Cailin. That's Moat.
Yeah, it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kyle's right. I think it's Mott. I think we've looked it up before. I think it's like a hill, like a raised hill.
Yeah, so I need a loyal Lord of Winterfell, and John's like, well, Winterfell, I heard Theon burned that shit down. Like, can't go there. There's no one there.
We can rebuild it. That's what's that.
John's starting to realize, like, oh shit, he's asking me to like. He's putting a lot on me right now. This is about to be big. Like, this is where it's starting to click for him when he's like, Winterfell, I need a loyal lord.
Which is so funny, like, right? Like, he called you to the top of the wall, man. Like, you're up here having a conversation with King Stannis.
Why do you think they did it at the top of the wall?
Because even Varys probably doesn't have a spy up here.
Nah, just because this is, like, epic, right? Like, this is, like, the place to have a private discussion.
I mean, not if you're trying to convince a guy who's very loyal to his vows to betray his vows to the Watch. I feel like there's a very Night's Watch place, right? Is at the very top of the wall. Like, do it in, like, a cabin.
To look at the real enemy? Like, hey, look at the issues that we have to defend against.
Well, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, he should have had like a nice spread,
a nice cheese board.
Yeah, like all the things that John would have had,
flag and a veil.
If he becomes a lord. You know what I mean?
A nice little roast duck.
Like, yeah, a ton of food, nice
lemon
warm fire.
pies.
Yeah, we got we're in our t-shirt and shorts because it's so warm in here. Yeah, like, like that's how we convince this guy.
He invites Ghost shows back up.
I mean, I guess this is the opposite. Like, hey, if you say no, this is what you got for the rest of your life. This cold ass, like windy ass. So I guess he's just playing the opposite direction. Yeah.
Well, Stannis needs the North, and how's he going to get that? He needs the son of Eddard Stark, and well, it's been bad luck to be a son of Ned Stark of late. But
yeah, there aren't too many left. So
we got you, John.
You are what you are. You're the last one.
I'll make you no longer a bastard. You'll be John Stark.
Yep.
But I swore my vows.
Yeah, I'm a brother of Night's Watch. He's like, I swore my vows before a heart tree. I can hold no lands and father no children. And Melisandre says, this is funny.
Like, hey, what the fuck's a tree gonna do? That, like, dude.
She's like, R'hllor is the only true God. A vow sworn to a tree has no more power than one sworn to your shoes. Open your heart and let the light of the Lord come in. Burn these weirwoods and accept Winterfell as a gift of the Lord of Light. So that's funny. A vow to a tree has no more than a vow to your shoes, but
yeah, but that's like, I mean,
this is a big part of the deal, I think.
Yeah, he had to drop the old gods, right, and take R'hllor.
So hard. Yeah, that's a shitty deal for John, right? Like, that's a shitty stipulation.
He doesn't seem to think about it at all. He kind of moves on from it pretty quickly, but yeah, it seems like this would be a big thought.
That seems like part of the worst part of it to me, really.
Yeah.
Well, he's considering, right? He ends up considering, so we don't have an answer yet.
Yeah, this is where he goes back to his thoughts of like growing up as a young boy in Winterfell, like wishing that he could be the Lord of Winterfell, but also felt like it was kind of disrespectful and treasonous to his family members to think like that.
Wish him dead. Yeah.
Yep. And would he betray his vows again and his father's gods this time? Little added treachery.
Yeah, it was real, right?
All he had to do was pledge this king his fealty, and Winterfell was his. All he had to do was forswear his vows again. And this time, it would not be a ruse. To claim his father's castle, he must turn against his father's gods. So I guess he does think about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, it would be real this time. Like the last time was him going through the motions. This time would
he was fake.
Because it sounds like she actually would want him to get rid of the weirwoods and all that, right? Like, I mean, he would definitely have to take this god.
Yep.
It would change his life.
Burn it down.
So Stannis says, John, you to me are like the dragon glass that you found, and I mean to use you. I guess he's suggesting that John didn't use the dragon glass that he found very well. He's like, I'm going to use this shit. He says, even Azor Ahai didn't win his war alone, which again, we heard was like kind of the ancient guy from prophecy. He says he has killed 1,000 wildlings, captured another 1,000, but they all know that they're going to come back.
Yeah, Tormund's forming up a host. Like, they're going to attack again.
So again, he hits John with this. John, to me, I understand why he doesn't go into explanation because like it would probably be extra for us, but John should have no idea what this means. He says, Melisandre has seen that in the fire. Like, what?
Yeah.
This is the first time John's meeting either of these people.
He just drops it.
He doesn't know she sees visions and fires. Like, I guess you can kind of infer
she's kind
that,
of weird,
but it sounds
right?
crazy.
Like, I don't know. It is crazy.
It
but
sounds crazy if there's no explanation.
There's weird shit going on all over the place. Like, I'm sure it sounds like the Red Priest, like, he knows of Thoros of Myr, right?
John? Why would
I'm
John
just saying,
know?
like, of legend, like, Thoros of Myr went into battle with Ned with a flaming sword. Like, I bet he heard that story.
You're right.
And, like, so I'm just like, I don't know. Did Thoros, I don't know.
Probably not by that. To me, I think a lot
I
of
just
this
think, like,
dragons
these Red
right?
Priests, like, John would have grown up knowing that there's this religion of Essos, probably. Like, if he was taught
I don't know,
anything.
man.
He'd be,
They learned about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but a different religion and someone just straight doing magic, like touching you and their hands warm when it's like freezing out and like seeing shit.
This
in
lady
fire.
seems crazy.
Well,
yeah.
that's why
Like,
I don't think it's crazy to like even think about because like she's got weird shit going on. Like, does he believe that she just burst this eagle into flames? She's warm as shit in the coldest part of the world.
That's the thing is like if John believes all this, like I feel like it almost makes the answer saying yes to this even more obvious. Like, wait, your God is just straight up working for you? Like, yeah, let's switch sides.
I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people of the Queen's men, like they obviously, I don't think they did it because of like, oh shit, let's just go over to that god. It's like, oh shit, this shit's real. Wow, let me switch real quick.
I think some of them for sure. Davos has the more cynical view where he says a lot of the Queen's men just switched to win favor with Selyse. Selyse is probably a true believer. A lot of people switch because they're like, hey, the queen is and she can give me stuff because she's the queen, so I'll just do what she says.
Probably, yeah, like follow the queen. She's going to be close to power.
I will say that like I said this before, George is an atheist. One of the critiques he has on religion is like, hey, if I saw a guy walk on water, I would become religious real quick. Or if I saw someone turn water into wine, but reading about it's not enough. Like if someone started actually performing miracles, he's like, that religion would be number one in the world real quick. So like I think on that point, like, damn, if to John, like, okay, she's warm when she shouldn't be warm.
I mean, she seems kind of legit. Yeah.
This is, I think, just confusing. But then if she's like, yeah, I burned that fucking bird.
But at the same time, like kind of what I think what Jeff was saying is like magic is also a thing, right? Like, so she could just be magic.
There's more shit that you can believe in this world than.
I guess that's true. You have warging. Right, John's seen warging, and is that it's not necessarily related to his god, but it seems kind of.
But I feel like that's old god-ish, right? Like there's like old.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I feel like he's seen some old god shit too.
Yeah,
where it's like.
That's fair.
Yeah, both are working. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stannis has been talking to Mance a little bit. Like this voting taking some time has allowed him to have some one-on-one with the Wildling King. The only thing I have before that is that Tormund's probably forming up another attack. So.
Yeah, so right there though, he's getting ready for another attack. He's like, the more we bleed each other, the weaker they will be when the real enemy comes. So he doesn't flat out say it here, but he's kind of saying like, hey, they're going to attack us, and we don't want to be fighting the wildlings.
Yeah, they should be on our side, and that's what that happens in a minute here, right? Like he's like, I'm going to let them through.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much what he's saying. He's like, we need to band together. The real enemy is coming.
Yep.
Which is kind of seems like fate that Stannis is talking to Jon about this. Or maybe it's calculated by Stannis because he rode with the wildlings, so he can guess that Jon has some.
The
wildlings.
one guy who's kind of been on both teams.
Exactly. If you propose this to any other Night's Watchman, they'll be like, "We're gonna let the wildlings through the wall." Like,
yeah,
fuck,
absolutely.
No.
And
I feel like Jon would be more okay with it because he's been with them.
I think he tested the waters too with the first questions, like asking him if they had honor. Like if Jon answered that, like, no, these people are the worst. Like Mance is worse. Rattleshirt, Tormund, like you can't like burn them all, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know how far this conversation gets, but
yeah,
Jon's kind of passed the test till now.
For sure. So then what you were saying, while everyone has been doing the selection shit, he's been talking with Mance a lot, which is kind of where you can probably assume he's getting a lot of these thoughts, because this is pretty much what Mance was saying to Jon last chapter, right? Mance gave Jon the whole, hey, let us through the wall, we'll give you the horn, and we'll just like live in the Seven Kingdoms. So it's kind of like the same thing. Mance is just...
Well, I don't know if he just said, we'll just live in the Seven Kingdoms. He's like, look, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do down here, but you're going to let us through because I have the power.
Well, Stannis does say, Mance, I've been talking to him, but he's giving me no choice but to burn him.
Yeah.
Right, which seems like I'm kind of wanting something from him, but he's not giving it to me. He's like, but there are other wildling leaders, which is probably exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, I want to let these guys through the wall, but Mance isn't going to let them listen to me. I need to find someone who will make everybody listen to me. We're going to go with somebody else because Mance won't agree to it. Right?
Because at Winterfell. We're going to keep him in line. But yeah, so let's give him the gift, and the wildlings will swear fealty to me and also keep the king's peace, right? So basically drop their wildling ways. Jon thinks it's a good idea, right? He's like, yeah, it'd be cool.
He said Ned had this idea one
Ned
time.
and Benjen talked about this all the time. Or at least resettling. Not with the wildlings, but let's get some people up there. And then there's an idea of how we're going to solidify the pact.
He's going to marry Val.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you say it like that? Is there other?
I was looking for some of my notes, and I was going to ask you about it, but asking about it would be revealing a spoiler. The answer was no. So
okay, well then we'll
skip it. We'll wait. Yep.
All right. So Jon gets to marry this other beautiful wildling woman.
Yeah, that's how we're going to make the wildlings allegiance with us. Which again, is that true? Like, she was the sister of Dalla, who was Mance's wife. Well, she's a wildling. They don't give a fuck. She's no one. She's a eager.
Well, that's what Jon gets into. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know how these people think. Like, there's no succession, right? Like, even like the baby that was the prince that was born in the battle, like.
They don't. Yeah, he's not king now. Man said that literally last chapter. Like, you don't become king because your father was. He's word for word said that to Jon last chapter. So that's not how that shit works up here. You become king because you're the best. And
I guess in Stannis' mind, like, once they pledge their fealty to me, like, their ways are gone. They're now in my ways. I'm saying she's the princess. This is now who she's marrying, the Lord of Winterfell. You follow him, or he's going to come wipe you guys out.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's fair.
But that's not even what Jon's necessarily laughing at. He's just laughing at, you can't just give away wildling girls. You got to have someone go steal them.
Yeah, I have to go take her. Like, I can't just...
Yeah. So Stannis like, what does this mean? Like, you don't want to marry her? Are you refusing me?
So I kind of said this to Jon in the spoiler section for the last chapter. Like,
to Jon or to me?
To you. I said this to you about Jon. Everyone's saying that Jon captured the horn, the baby, and Val. Did he accidentally steal...
Let's talk about who's actually saying this. The people on the wall are saying that he captured.
And Stannis' men.
Again, not the wildlings. Like, do the wildlings need to accept that you stole her?
I think that's why it's the question. And I think that our only reference is Ygritte thought that Jon stole her, and all he did was capture her. Yeah, in a very similar way.
Yeah, but she accepted it. Like, she was like, "No, you stole me."
Yeah, she kind of
wanted it.
She wanted that to be a steal for sure.
You stole my ass.
But I think if that counted, I think you could count the Val thing too. So I just think it's interesting. Like, technically, could we have considered this already been stolen? I don't know. But
true. I think he could.
Well, then he broke his vows again.
Yeah, he got married
on purpose.
That's the problem with the wildlings. You get married by accident all the time.
Yeah, but Jon needs some time to think on it. Can't give you the answer right now, Stanny. Let me get some time. He's like, all right, you got some time.
Yeah, I mean, what a shit deal, right?
Next time you come back to me, you better. All you gotta do is bend the knee, lower your sword, and you'll be Jon Stark.
I think it's funny. It definitely parallels the last Sam chapter. I didn't think about it till now. We're going back to back, but Jon ends this with whoever steals Val, and Stannis is like, whoever? What do you mean whoever? Kind of like how Pip was like, someone? Who's someone? What do you mean someone?
Yeah.
He's like, are you refusing my offer, Jon Snow? And Jon's like, like you said, give me some time.
Yep.
Interesting little line Stannis drops in here, Kyle, I wanted to ask you about. He says, I'm not a patient man as the Night's Watch are about to learn, or something like that.
So I think he's going to do something about instilling a new commander.
Okay, interesting.
Because doesn't he get into, like, it sounds like he wants to instill Jon too.
Well,
but at the same time,
there is one point where he's like, I need to take some things. Like, I'm taking the gift. Like, I need to take that from and I need a Lord Commander. Pretty much, I need a Lord Commander for that to happen. Like, whoever the new Lord Commander is, I got to take that from him. Because that is owned by the Night's Watch. So I think that happened another time too. I forget exactly what it was though.
I mean that, or I could see him taking Sam. right? Like, I mean, I know Sam, but I don't know why Stannis would know about Sam, really.
Well, he said Randall Tarley's son killed the other, so he knows about Sam.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
wondering how he
Okay,
knows
yeah,
about some of that
true.
stuff, but you're saying he makes Sam Lord Commander? That'd be interesting.
I mean, maybe.
Sam the
yeah.
Slayer. He's got the coolest nickname.
The other thing that I think is also good that I didn't mention, but like I think they highlight it well here. It's a good, again, a reminder as a difference from the show. When John gets up to Stannis, he's like, Stannis towered over him.
Yeah, Stannis is a big guy.
And John's a boy. He's 15, 16.
15.
Yeah.
So is Sam. So like,
And the Baratheons
Yeah.
are known to be large. Stannis just is a little skinnier. Gaunter is the word.
Well, I guess you're trying to say that he wouldn't make Sam.
well, yeah, I think like you had maybe predicted that John would be Lord Commander, and like he's not even on the ballot, right? And like I think that makes sense. He's a boy, which is a big knock
Yeah.
against him. Like a lot of things they do consider as high birth and skill at arms, and a lot of things John has. He's just like
It's just
15.
a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Sam. The same applies to Sam as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. I think he's going to definitely have something to do with the selection of the next Lord Commander.
All right. Stannis is throwing his weight
cool.
around.
So I guess straight up, what's John's?
What's John say to this offer?
I don't know, man. Like, that's what I was trying to say. Is like, that's such a shitty offer, right? Like,
Well, if you're okay with passing up your vows, like you're gonna be the man.
it's like the thing that he always wanted, and it's literally giving up everything that he is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's completely renouncing your life.
Oh, it's so great.
It's a tough one.
And like we talked about earlier in the Sam chapter, it's honestly not even like, do you want to stay at the wall or do you want to become Lord of Winterfell? It's like, do you want to die? Right? Because like he sees it coming. Janice is gaining numbers.
Yeah, the only other option is to die. Exactly.
Yeah. Whether you, Kyle, believe that Janice is actually going to win or not, like John does. And John knows that road is death for him. So he's choosing not between staying at the wall or Lord of Winterfell, all his dreams. He's choosing between death and all his dreams. But again, death has the honor on the side, the way he's seeing it. Honor or the old gods, those two things, I think.
I hope he's smart enough to like finagle this deal a little bit so that he has a little bit better deal.
Haggle.
He renegotiates.
All right, cool.
All right, go.
We'll see Kyle in the next one for Tyrion. I don't know which one. Is it Tyrion?
It's
Tyrion,
definitely
right?
Tyrion 11.
I think that might be accurate. Tyrion 11. Good call, Jeff.
I might not be right all the time, but I'm right most of the time.
All right, we'll
there
see
should
Kyle
be
in
a
the
section
next
on that whiteboard behind you that just
Tally when I'm right.
No. Count the chapters next time.
Nah, it's not important.
Okay.
All right, we'll see Kyle in the
Timeline's
next
not
one for Tyrion 11. We'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section for John.
Or later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for Tyrion 11. Now, on to the spoiler section for John 11. Jeff, what we got?
Well, he doesn't take the deal. He gets voted Lord Commander.
He does not take the deal, but he does not take the deal and then he gets voted Lord Commander. It's not like he doesn't take the deal because he gets voted Lord Commander.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because he still thinks it's like Stannis or death, and he chooses death anyway because he's honorable.
Yeah.
And I think it does come about when he sees Ghost. Again, it makes sense because like the big problem is old gods, and Ghost is like a walking weirwood tree.
Is that an old god sign to John that like,
Yeah.
yo, you shouldn't don't trust this fire god?
Exactly. Yep.
But he's probably going to need the fire god a little bit later on in life.
Oh, I mean, in the show, he was brought back with fire magic, right? You're talking about when he dies.
Yeah.
In the books, a lot of people think that actually what's happening is he's just warging into Ghost, just like we've seen Varamir warg into somebody when he dies. Then they throw his body in the ice cells, and then something allows him to warg back in. Maybe that's fire magic. Maybe it's something else. Maybe he just wargs back into his own body when they thaw him out. People are wondering about it.
I'm not wondering. Melisandre's there.
I mean, either way, do you think there is a him warging into wolf thing happening there?
I could see us having like a chapter where he's in Ghost and maybe still doesn't understand it, but he's like dreaming of Ghost.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's back in his body or something like that.
Yeah.
But you think Mel has to do like the kiss of life or some barrack shit to get his body back to being able to being warged back into?
I just think we're too far into the red people, the red priests bringing them back that...
For not to do it on John?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair, I guess.
Mel hasn't done it yet, right? So,
yeah, no, she hasn't. Just Thoros, I think, on Barrack. And Barrack on Cat.
And she's at the wall.
That's the
She's
epilogue.
not
I didn't think about that. That's the epilogue of this book as we meet Lady Stoneheart. Cat's alive, kind of.
Oh shit.
That'd be a cool revelation for Kyle.
Is she hanging phrase or?
Yeah, yeah, she's hanging phrase.
It's cool.
Merritt's going to pay the ransom for his nephew, and he gets there, and his nephew's just hanging from a tree. I think it's his nephew. Might be someone. It's another Frey. Merritt Frey's going to pay for Peter Pimple, I think.
Yeah.
And he gets there, and he's like, "I have the gold," and they're like, "We don't care. Get in the tree."
Do they hang him then too?
Yeah. Chapter ends with him getting hung, and Lady Stoneheart's like,
Nice.
"Hang him." Exactly. Pretty close to that, probably.
All right. Back to this chapter.
Weird thing was Azor High in the middle.
What's that?
There's a weird part with Azor High in the middle.
Okay.
It's just like a weird combination of things. He tells John that John is to him as the dragon glass was to John, and then says even Azor High didn't win this war alone. Just weird. I think he's talking about John, Dragon Glass, and Azor High all in the same time, right? People think John is Azor High, Prince was promised, same shit. So just kind of a weird collection of things.
Who do I think is Azor High? I solved that.
You thought Danny was Nisa Nisa. Who's stabbing her? John? Fagon?
I guess.
Patchface?
Patchface.
All right, what else you got?
Mance isn't getting burned.
Mance is not getting burned. That's weird, though. I actually don't remember if Stannis knows that or not.
Mel knows it.
Mel knows it, but I don't know if she tells Stannis about it. Like that might be something she's lying to Stannis about.
Yeah.
Because you can't say I want to do King's Blood. Stannis might know. I don't know.
Do you think that would make Stannis mad that she's referring to another person as a king?
I don't know.
Like he's a false king type stuff?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how you pull that off. Maybe you're not burning him for the King's Blood after all. But I feel like that's the whole point of why they want to get rid of the baby. But I don't know. Plus, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. We'll have to reread it. Because, like, why would John be afraid about a baby who doesn't have King's Blood, who has King's Blood, if he knows that Mel didn't actually burn the guy with King's Blood?
Does John find out that Mance is alive before he sends the baby away?
I don't think so. I think we mentioned that last chapter. I don't think he does, and that's, I guess, the explanation for it. But also, maybe, like, Mel does still think that there's power in Mance's blood and the baby's blood, but she just thought that Mance was more useful as an undercover spy in Winterfell than she did as, like, she didn't need the King's Blood right now, so she, like, kind of just, like, burned somebody else to keep him on hold. They didn't need winds, they weren't going anywhere type thing.
Right.
So keep him alive till we need him. Maybe is kind of her thought. I don't know. There might be answers and I just don't remember, but
whatever. Burn Rattleshirt anyway. Rattleshirt's the worst.
Rattleshirt does suck. I think I mentioned this in the last chapter, but the only other point I had was that when Stannis says the Night's Watch are about to learn that I'm not patient, I think it's because Kyle's right. He's going to force a commander on him or force him to choose.
He affects the vote.
He impacts it.
What was the question you were going to ask me? And you said if I answered no, it would be a spoiler.
Oh, when Ned says, when Stannis says, I'm going to give the gift to all the wildlings and they're going to settle it. And John thinks that Ned had this idea. Ned and Benjen had this idea before. Did he say the dream of spring in this chapter?
Did he actually say the dream of spring?
The words dream for spring?
I don't think so.
Because John has thought about...
He had a dream, but spring wasn't brought up.
John has thought about Ned and Benjen considering this possibility before. Or maybe not before, maybe he will later.
And then they come to it, but that's a dream for spring.
Exactly. Because I think what John thinks is I could have had one of those castles. They were going to settle this and make new lords, and I could have been one of those lords. So yeah, at that point he says dream for spring. So I was wondering if it was said here. I was going to say, did Ned say dream for spring? But then if the answer is no, me saying that's kind of a spoiler. Again, not a huge spoiler. It's just the name of the future book. But yeah, that's what I was saying, alluding to earlier. But yeah, cool. End of this one. Next one, Tyrion.
Tyrion escapes.
Jaime rescue. Tysha reveal. Tywin dies.
I'm excited to read that one again because I don't really recall how it goes.
It'll be good. Tyrion's also one of those characters John is too, but we have one more John chapter in this book. Tyrion's one of those characters that this is the last Tyrion chapter till dance, so savor it.
Does he hide in a box? Does he have to get in a box?
Next time we see him is with Master Illyrio.
All right.
So we'll see you guys in the next one for Tyrion 11. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, do all that. See you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.